You should have all been passed back this piece of paper, this next note section. If you have not received this next note section, make sure you pause this video until everybody is on the same page. So I need everybody to go ahead and highlight their title for me, please. There are 9 problems on this piece of paper that I want you to practice. So I'm going to tell you the problems that I want you to do. And I want you to do number 1, number 3, number 4, 6, 7, and 8. Go ahead and solve these problems. So pause this video, solve these problems, and then I will put the answers up on the board so you can check your answers. So as you notice, I'm putting these answers up. Go ahead and check your answers as you go. So the answers to these problems are up. So go ahead and check your answers. Make sure you're all okay because now we're involved in circles. So with all of this in mind, let's look at some of these problems. It says AB is tangent to circle C. So I know that this is tangent, if I can use the highlighter tool. This is tangent to my radius, which means it forms a 90-degree angle. So, okay, so how am I going to be able to find R? Well, this looks like a right triangle, so I'm going to do the Pythagorean theorem. So, if I were to set this up, I would say R squared plus 4 squared equals, well, what's my hypotenuse? My hypotenuse is all of that. So I have to do R plus 2 squared. So I got to put that in parentheses because that's more than one thing. When you're talking about more than one thing, you have to include it in parentheses. So that would be R plus 2 squared. So if on my left side I'd have R squared plus 16 equals. Well, how do I do this when I have two things in a squared? Notice this looks exactly like number 3 on the top of your paper. I would have to scribble out this squared and write R plus 2. Oh, that's where she's going with this. So I have to double distribute. R squared plus 2R plus 2R plus 4. So now I'm going to clean it all up. Plus 4R plus 4. So looking at this, am I going to have to factor this problem? Yes, because I have an R squared and an R. So I better start getting everything on one side. So I'm going to move my R squared to the other side. So these cross out. What do you notice about these R squareds? They also cross out. So hey, yes, I don't have to factor. So 16 equals 4R plus 4. So I'm now going to subtract 4 on both sides. I get 12 equals 4R. Divide by 4. So R equals 3. So sometimes I'm going to have to use all of those algebra methods that I've been reviewing on a problem like this. Number 2 is almost exactly like number 1. Let's take a look at it. I'm going to go ahead and erase this, if it'll allow me to. It won't allow me to erase all of it. I don't know why it does that. Alright, so with the best that I can, I'll write in a different color so we can distinguish between the two. It says AB is tangent to circle C. So this is a tangent line. I know it forms a right angle. I have a right triangle. How am I going to find R? I'm going to do the Pythagorean theorem. So R squared plus 12 squared equals my hypotenuse. What does that say? Does that say 14? I can't tell what that says. I think that says 14, so I'm going to pretend it says 14. So if it doesn't say 14, well, sorry. So my whole hypotenuse is r plus 14. Or maybe it's 8. I lied. We're not going to make it 14. We're going to make it 8. Let's hope I'm right. You can let me know if I'm right, but it looks like an 8. So I'm going to do r plus 8 squared. I have to put r plus 8 in parentheses because it's talking about two things and I'm performing this operation with it. So r squared plus 144 equals, I got to scribble out this squared and I got to write it again. I now have to double distribute. So r squared plus 8r plus 8r plus 64. So r squared plus 144 equals r squared plus 16r plus 64. Just by looking at this, how do I think I'm going to have to factor? Well, I got r squared and r. So I'm going to hopefully my r squareds are going to cancel out if I subtract them. Sure enough, they do. So 144 equals r 16r plus 64. So I'm going to subtract 64 from 144. I get 80 equals 16r. I'm going to divide by 16. Well, I know that answer was right because I got 5 for r. So notice this isn't any different than what we did last class. The only difference is that here I had to use my double distributing trick, and down here I thought I was going to have to factor, but in reality I didn't. Oh, and now it's not letting me erase. This is obnoxious. Let's see. Oh, yes, it worked. Huzzah! All right, let's look at number 3. Number 3, what are you given? I'm given a tangent line and a secant line. So, tangent secant theorem. So, what is the tangent secant theorem? It's tangent squared, so 6 squared, equals my outside piece, x, times the whole piece, which is x plus 5. Because to put pieces together, you add them. So now I'm going to clean it up. 36 equals x squared plus 5x. All right, so I now got to solve for x. Looking at this equation, am I going to have to factor? You betcha, because I have an x squared and an x. So how do I factor equations? Step 1, make the equation equal 0. So I'm going to subtract 36 on both sides. So I have 0 equals x squared plus 5x minus 36. So now I'm going to factor. First question, is there a GCF? No. So factor quickly because I have no coefficient in front of x squared. I need factors of negative 36 that add up to 5. 9 and negative 4. Because I have that equals 0, I got to split up my problem and I got to write two answers. X plus 9 equals 0 and x minus 4 equals 0. So over here, what's x equal? Negative 9. On my right side, x equals 4. So looking at these two answers, which one is 100% illogical to represent this picture? Well, x equals negative 9 is illogical because a piece of a secant line cannot be negative 9. So that's not my answer because it is the illogical answer. So my real answer in this problem is 4. Let's go over and look at number 4. What are you given? A tangent and a secant. All right, great. So, let me undo some of this. Nice. So, tangent squared, x squared, equals outside piece, two things, put it in parentheses, times the whole thing, which is 2x minus 3. So I have x squared equals, well, how do I solve the right side? Double distribute. 2x squared minus 3x minus 4x plus 6. X squared equals 2x squared minus 7x plus 6. All right, looking at this, how do I know I'm going to have to factor? Because I have an x and I have an x squared. So I gotta make this equation equal 0. Subtract x squared. That didn't move with it. All right, so I'll just move it. All right, so I have 0 equals x squared minus 7x plus 6. So I'm going to come up over here. So, first question, is there a GCF? Nope. So, factor quickly. Factors of 6 that make negative 7. Negative 6 and negative 1. Because I have this equal sign, split up my two answers. X equals 6 and x equals 1. You with me? Looking at these two answers, none of them right now seem illogical because they're both positive. But what happens if I plug in 1 to this piece over here? I'm going to have 1 minus 2, which makes negative 1. Does that make sense? No. So x can't equal 1, so x has to equal 6. So go ahead and flip your paper for me, please. All right, we are going to do a couple more of these. Let's look at number 1. Intersecting lines. What do I know? Piece times piece equals piece times piece. So x times x equals 4 times 25. So x squared equals 100. So square root, x equals 10. So I want you to go through this back page, and I want you with that same methods to answer these questions. Not all of them involve factoring, only some of them, and not all of them involve double distributing or foiling, but some of them do. So I want you to go ahead and work on these problems on the back, and if you finish, then you don't have homework, but if you don't finish, whatever you don't finish consists as homework.